Hey y'all. Hey y'all. I'm sorry. Hey, what's up? What's up? What's up? Hope everybody is doing well. Hey Chelsea. Hey girl. Hey. Sitting here watching Mason run around this darn field, this big old field, child. He looked tired. Practice just starting. Y'all come on in here, say hey, what's up? Let me know that you're here. It is Tuesday, which means it is time for your free homeschool coaching. I guess your live Q&A, should I say? Y'all coming in here, say hey, what's up? Let me know that you are here. I'm sitting here at soccer practice. Um, I'll be here, child, because this is my life, my everyday life. But y'all come on in here, say hey, what's up? It is time for some live homeschool Q&A. As you can see, I have been on TikTok being about my father's business. That'll be you on Thursday. Yeah, I was here yesterday. I'm here 3 days a week, and then um he has tournaments. He has a tournament this weekend, so we'll be doing soccer again on Saturday and Sunday too. So yeah, the only day we have off is Wednesday and Friday this week, as far as soccer is concerned. And next week he has a tournament as well. So it's gonna be soccer is my life the next 2 weeks for real. So listen, I've been on TikTok going about my father's business. If you've been seeing the reels that I've been sharing, I made a statement that I've made over and over again, and they are um, being very, um, I don't know, worrisome, irritating. I don't know what to say, but they are bothered by the fact that I made the statement that I've been saying over and over again about homeschooling and how it's an option for everyone. And they have been intentional at trying to prove me wrong, like try to tell me that I'm incorrect. And I think what people are missing about the statement that I'm saying, I'm not saying that homeschooling is for everyone. I'm not saying that if you are, trying to make ends meet, or well, not even make ends meet, if you're like not able to even keep a roof over your head, that your priority is not necessarily homeschool. Like, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, and I've been saying what I said over and over again, the option is available, right? Everybody has the option to homeschool. So even if the circumstances don't present themselves as a good like time to do it, the option is still there, is what I'm saying. And so people make comments about how they can't homeschool because they can't be around their kids a lot. And for me, I get that sentiment. I know that, I'm not the average homeschooling mom who's like, I don't even think half these people like their kids. I mean, that may be the case, that may not be the case, but who are me to judge, right? That's not for me to judge. But what I can say is that, um, when I was thinking about homeschooling, the thought of being with my kids all day long scared me. It made me concerned. Like, I was like, how am I going to do things? How am I going to live life? Um how am I going to get through this situation and my kids not get on my last nerve? Like, that's what my true thoughts were the entire time when we were talking about homeschooling. And then also my patience. Like, how do I have all this patience and be able to homeschool my children? Like, I didn't know how that was possible, how I was going to be able to do it. And that was one thing. And so I kind of get that sentiment. And another thing too, if you are in a situation where you are unable to provide for your family, or say for instance, if I was a single mom, and I know that there are plenty single moms that do homeschool. If you go to my TikTok and you look at their video, there's single mom after single mom after single mom after single mom that are commenting saying that they are homeschooling. There are several on them that saying that they are the only provider, that they also are educating, going to college and getting further education themselves, but also choose to homeschool. And that there are certain things that they had to sacrifice in order to make that work. And so that was my whole entire point of the video. That was the entire point of the video. The fact of the matter is that this is not an advantage that we have, right? We all sacrifice to make it happen. everybody has the option to sacrifice and make it happen as well. Now, if you are, again, if you are fighting for your life, you're in a domestic violence type situation, you anything like that, you're in a domestic violence type situation, you cannot financially keep a roof over your head, all that kind of stuff, you're in an emotionally abusive relationship, anything like that, it is important for you to focus on those main and those important things in order to get to a point where you can homeschool. And if you are considering homeschool but think that it's impossible or think that it's something that you may not be able to do, I challenge you to contact me. I challenge you to schedule a quickie so we can sit and talk and have a conversation, because the conversation will go like this. What is your end game? What is your goal? Okay, Sean, my goal is to be able to homeschool my children, but like this one lady said, but I work 3 jobs and I work 3 jobs and I'm a single parent. And for me, my response to her was, you know what? God bless you. But first of all, there's absolutely no way that you can work 3 jobs as a single parent and homeschool your child. That's not going to happen. Like, that's not going to be something that you can do. And so if that's your end game and that's your goal, then you need to walk through the steps or walk through the things you can do to eliminate working 3 jobs and possibly dwindling down to one. So I'm thinking, like, so my conversation for her is, okay, are all 3 jobs necessary? Can I make what I'm making with 2 jobs and 1 job? Like, if I moved or transferred jobs, is an option for me to look for something else? Will that help or will that make things better? And so her priority was to find a way to financially support her family, and still be able to homeschool her child, or be able to homeschool her child later on. But the number one priority was for her to be able to financially support her family. That's it. That doesn't negate the fact that she still has the option to homeschool. It just means that the priority in that moment is her financially supporting her child. And so that's what I've been saying the last 2 days. They on TikTok getting big mad. Do you hear me? I mean, angry. TikTok is full of a bunch of bullies anyway. But yeah, they over there upset and mad because of what I'm saying. So that's what that is. So anyway, I'm here ready to do your homeschool Q&A. If you have any questions as far as that's concerned, if nobody's gonna ask any questions, I'm not gonna stay on here. I'm actually gonna do some reading myself and prepare for some other stuff, some speaking stuff. I just thought about something. I always do that when I'm on live. I think I have a deadline that I'm supposed to finish. Hey, Denny, original member of the Guru Click. Denny has been with me from the beginning, like jump from start. Um, but yeah, but that's what it is. That's where we are. Okay. How are you feeling, Denny? But that's where we are. That's what things are. So if you have questions, you are more than welcome to ask the questions. If you don't have questions, you have comments, statements, whatever the case may be, it's cool, it's fine. I mean, I don't really have anything else to talk about. Somebody did make an anonymous confession. However, I forgot to print it, or I forgot to read, like separate it so that I could read it, and I can't be on live on my phone and read it at the same time. So unfortunately, I cannot access it. If you ever want to make an anonymous confession or ask a question anonymously and not do it on live, you can do that on my website. Just go to SeanTheHomeschoolGuru.com, and there's an area and a space where you can click a tab where it says confession, and do it that way. Or I think it's on the podcast tab, actually. And all you do is, when you go into it, it asks you whether or not you want me to, give you advice, or you just want to vent. And then there's a space for you to put your information, like put whatever it is you want to say. There is no place for you to put your name. I don't even give you the option, nothing like that. I don't want that. I want it to truly be anonymous as far as that's concerned. Did you do dual enrollment at a community college with any of your kiddos? Yes. So Chelsea, Ayana, my oldest, who just graduated in May, she did dual enrollment at the local community college, and it was a great experience for her. My Deuce, I don't know if that's something he's going to want to do next year or his senior year. It's definitely something that he can do. He just needs to um, trust his capabilities. He needs to remember that he is way greater than he thinks he is. And so he gets a little discouraged and tests rattle him a little bit. I think he gets a little concerned about passing it, and it just kind of sets him off. But yeah, we did do dual enrollment. Chelsea, I see your second question also. We did dual enrollment later on because I let her choose when she wanted to do it. So she didn't actually do dual enrollment until her senior year. But you can do dual enrollment way earlier than that, depending upon what state you're in. I have clients who have 14-year-olds who are doing dual enrollment or doing college courses at that level. So you can do that if you want to, or that they're starting off with that. What I would say is a lot of the colleges, when I was doing the research for dual enrollment, I reached out to them and I talk, hey, let's talk. This is her goal. What do you think her best options are? How does this work? What do we need to do? I got on that person's nerves. Like they were tired of hearing me. Like, hey, Mrs. Taylor was pretty much the phone call they were getting from me. Like every time I answered the phone, they were like, hey, Mrs. Taylor, what you got? What's going on? How you doing today? Because I had so many questions. I wanted her to be okay. And I was concerned and anxious, right, about my capabilities, just being honest. About the fact that I had spent all this time educating her, and what if I did and she didn't make it? What if I spent all this time thinking I was doing good, doing the bomb, and then she went to do dual enrollment and she failed? And so that was one of the things that I kind of had to, worry about. But yeah, it's definitely possible. Denny says, I'm doing well. How have you been? I'm good, Denny. Life is lifing right now. I'm moving forward, but hopefully we have some peace and some quiet, ready and willing and just ready to go coming up soon in the next couple weeks or so. But I'm moving. Do you hear me? Like everything is coming at one way in one direction and it's coming towards me, but it'll be okay. It'll be okay. Totally understandable. That's where I am. And my oldest wants to be a nuclear physicist. Yeah. So, Chelsea, what I would also do with your baby wanting to be a nuclear physicist. So, for me, the plan was, and it always has been for my kids, to take as many courses while they were in high school, because down here in Texas, depending upon what you do or how you do it, they can take college courses, some college courses for free. They can do it for free as long as it lines up with the dual enrollment guidelines. So as long as it's a class that fits with their high school credits and their college credits, they can do it pretty much for free. And so there's some things that you have to do in order to make that happen. I would discuss it, of course, and talk to the advisor or whatever the case may be. And so when you have a child who wants to be a nuclear physicist, that's going to require a lot of education. And with that said, if your child can start getting their associate's degree before they even get out of high school, they can earn their associate's degree and their high school diploma at the same time. That's the route that I would go. That would save you money in the long run. And so that's just me. That's how I think about it. Another thing that you can do, and I don't know, again, this is something you may want to talk to the advisor about, is instead of doing dual enrollment, if a CLEP test would be better. So say for instance, and I can't remember what the acronym stands for, but it's CLEP, season cat, LE, or season college, probably. LEP is in Paul. And they can study to take this test and take the test. When they pass the test, they get a credit for that course. Now, based on your child wanting to be a nuclear physicist, I'm not sure if that's going to affect or how it's going to work. You also how that's going to work, but you also want to mention to the college that they're choosing to go to, want to make sure that they accept those credits so they're not wasting time. So say for instance, my child is here in Texas, and say for instance, she goes to a Dallas community college and picks a course. The very first thing I did was I reached out to the four-year college that she wanted to go to later on and asked them if they accepted that credit so that she wasn't wasting her time. And so that may be something that you want to do, because what you don't want to do is spend all this time doing all this stuff and it doesn't work accordingly or work like you thought it was going to work. But yeah, lots of reading and research. I will post in the comments a book that truthfully helped me when it came to homeschooling high school, and it was the Homeschooling for College Credit. It's an amazing book. I bought several. It's one of those books where I have bought several, I have given several away. At one point she had the downloadable version free, and so I even downloaded that. Like I had like, that book is amazing option. It's got different options, different ways for you to homeschool your child, and they get college credit as far as that's concerned. So I will add that link when I leave. Yep. That's my plan. He's been on that track since about seventh grade. Yeah, absolutely. And so if that's what you're doing, because a nuclear physicist, of course, is going to need a lot of education, and depending upon, I'm not 100% sure if a, master's, doctor, all that stuff, depending upon the career choice, what is required. In my mind, I don't want to go into debt behind my child's education. And I know for my child, she doesn't want to go into debt behind her education. Like, that's a big deal for her. And so because that's a big deal for her, she doesn't want that hanging over her. It's not like it was when we were younger, and it's like, go to college, there's financial aid, there's loans, go to college, go to college, go to college. And we were like, oh, okay, go to college, let's take out loans, let's do this, let's do that, right? It's not like that. It's like these kids now are realizing, based off of all the mess that our generation is going through, and the generation, older, they are going through, that they're realizing that, hey, I don't have to go to school and take on all these loans. There's these different options. There's things that I can do. And community college is just as great and wonderful as the four-year university. And I can save money by doing that. So her whole thought process, her whole route was, when she decided that that's what she wanted to do, it was dual enrollment to save money, and then it was community college to continue to save money on her courses, and then it's like, okay, now I want to go to a four-year university. So her whole thought has been, I don't want to go into debt behind education. Like, I want the experience, right? The experience is a big deal. I want the education. I want to be able to do this one particular thing in my field, but I also want to have other options if I want to. I want this degree, but I don't want to go into debt and be paying on loans when I'm 40 years old. Like, that's her big thing. That's her big thing. Right. I've been pushing entrepreneurship. Yeah. And I mean, entrepreneurship is not for everybody, but I get it. Like, I know for a fact that as far as entrepreneurship is concerned, although my husband and I are entrepreneurs, and I tell you all the time, none of this was our plan. My husband and I both had really good jobs working for good companies, like them type of companies where your parents and your grandparents used to say, you need to stick with them because they have good benefits and they have this and they have that. So when I was working, I never really planned on leaving my job. Like, I never thought that I was going to be leaving corporate America. And so doing that, it was an interesting plan in itself. So we became entrepreneurs. Now, my son Deuce and maybe even Mason probably could do a lot better in the entrepreneurship, but for her, she would not like that. Like, she would like having a steady income, doing whatever it is that she loves to do and getting paid to do what she loves to do, but she still wants that steady income. Like, she doesn't necessarily want to technically work for it or sell it. You know what I mean? Do you get what I'm saying? Like, she wants to be able to draw and earn her commissions off of the pieces, do all of that stuff, but she also needs a steady income. My other boys, especially dudes, would be like, oh, let's get it, let's fight for it, let's work for it. They would be that way. And so entrepreneurship may not be for your child. What my thought process is to present it to them and let them choose, right? So we, like, again, we set goals every year. Deuce's goal was he wanted to start his own business. So that was part of his mindset. My other two, they didn't set that goal. And so it's a choice. It's a choice. That's our backstory as well. I have an engineering background as well as my husband. Yeah, and I mean, and I think that's amazing. Don't get me wrong. And a lot of people don't know that I don't have a college degree, me personally. I did work experience. I was in college at Dallas Baptist University. I started making money full time, and the money was looking good to me. And I allowed a professor to talk me out of continuing. I allowed her to say something that that continued to take or make me feel defeated. I allowed her to do that. And so I decided, forget it. Then why keep going to school? I'm going to go work and make this money. And so that's what I did. So I earned all of my experience being 19 years old and working in the same job in a hard industry, doing what I had to do. My husband, on the other hand, he graduated. He graduated from JSU, and spent all that money to go to college and doesn't even use his degree, right? Like, he doesn't, what he does now has nothing to do with his degree. And that's okay. It is what it is. He lived his life. He had a great experience. And we'll just move from there. And that's, again, it's so interesting because these kids nowadays, they pay attention to everything. So her thing is, well, I don't want to waste time. That was one of the things why she, at first, she wanted to go to art school, but then she was like, I don't want to waste time on an art degree or waste time going to the Art Institute of Dallas and then not have any other options or anything like, oh yeah, I went to art school, I've got this down, but I don't have anything else. So allow them to lead you, allow them to plan, allow them to do whatever it is that they want to do. These kids are wise. They see us, they see the lifestyle, they see what we're going through, they see the sacrifices that we are making to, be an adult, like the adult choices that we have to make. And, they go from there. They go from there and determine that. Be willing to listen and hear their perspective. And allow them to kind of, again, you're there to guide them. And once they get to that high school level, when they're younger, I was talking to somebody about this today. When they're younger, you're more hands-on. Yes, they have an input, but your wisdom kind of overrides a lot of things because you have the wisdom, right? But as they get older, you're teaching them all of that wisdom and showing them examples. But your hope and your prayer is that they're able to move on their own merit, right? And so you're just kind of taking, more of a hands-off approach to it because you want them to learn that experience. We tell our kids all the time, make your choices. We're not telling you to go out there and fail, but if there's any time in this world to go out there and fail, it's okay to fail while you're under the protection of your mom and your dad. Like we got you. And so if you want to try something and it doesn't work and you learn it, that's not the best option, then that's okay. My oldest has huge philanthropy spirit and money is not his top priority. So that's been a challenge. Yeah, I get that. That's rough, but you have to allow them to follow their heart, especially in that instance, because it may get to a point where that baby gets into that particular field and then determines that he can still be a philanthropist, but also wants to make his money. And so that's okay. Like that. I mean, it's different than what he maybe originally planned or she originally planned, but you have to let them make those decisions and then determine that that's not what they want to do. So once again, I want to be a philanthropist until I'm struggling to put food on my table, or I want to be a philanthropist, but I don't want to stay or live on the bare minimum. And that's a real reality for them. That may be something that your baby has to get fully, feet first, completely involved in, head first, I'm sorry, completely involved in, and then get into it and be like, you know I don't like a lot of nice things, but I do like some nice things, and this is not going to allow me to have that freedom. And so that's something that they'll have to choose. That's something that they'll have to choose. Yeah, I understand that challenge for sure. So again, if you are just now joining me, my name is Sean Taylor. I go by the name of Sean the Homeschool Guru. I am a homeschool coach that specializes in helping families transition into homeschooling. I also help families find their tailor-made fit, like find what it is that they need or what they want, their custom fit. Homeschooling is not one size fits all, period, point blank. And all I do is give options and ideas and answer questions. And my philosophy when it comes to that is you take the meat and you spit out the bones, and that's an old country saying, right? You take out the meat and you spit out the bones. So if it works for you, if it tastes good, if it fits your lifestyle, you take that in, right? And if it whatever part doesn't stick for you or doesn't work, then you spit it out. You spit out the bones. And so that's my whole philosophy. That's how I roll. That's how I run things. There is no one size that fits all. And a lot of times, especially when it comes to homeschooling, what works in one moment may not work the next, just based off of life circumstances, things changing, people not agreeing, just different things that may or may not happen, or even your goal. So, say your goal changes in the middle of the year or at the end of the year, what you're doing is not necessarily going to work for your goal because it's a brand new goal. So, that's what it is. But I am again a homeschool coach. I have a bunch of events coming up. If you're unfamiliar with them, I will post them later on. But the music and homeschool thing, I think that today is the last day to buy the tickets for that. I posted that on my page. I will also put that in the comments once we get off. The next thing that's coming up after that, I believe, is my conference, my virtual conference, which is the Tailor Made Homeschool Virtual Conference. I will post that link as well. And then shortly, like the very next weekend, I'll be participating in the virtual conference of Educate and Rejuvenate. which is an amazing conference. I like this conference in particular. It's a very different. The reason why is because it is a mix of educators and also homeschool moms, helping each other succeed, right? And so I am a person who doesn't necessarily believe that all teachers are terrible and bad, and there's a lot of wisdom and knowledge that they have, and I respect the things that they do, especially the ones who love our babies and are sacrificing for them. So they have a lot of information. So there's that conference. And then after that, I believe is the, no, I did it wrong. I think Educate and Rejuvenate is last. The one after my conference is the Texas Expo, Homeschool Expo. So I will be there. That one's in person in Grapevine, Texas. So I will be there. I have 2 sessions. I'll be speaking on working in homeschooling and something else. I can't think of it right now. I don't know. I need to get to work on those. I have to do my things. Like every time I speak, even if it's a topic that I have spoken on like 100 times, again, like working in homeschool, I've spoken on that multiple times. I always go back to my notes and update and add things to it. So I need to do that. I definitely need to do that. But yeah, I will post all those links so you know where I will be the next month. Next month, not well, I guess next month ish, right? June will be extremely busy for me. I've got something going every single week that I'm speaking at. It'll be a busy week for me, or a busy month for me. Okay. All right, guys. If you have no questions, I'm not gonna stay on here long, child. I told you I'm gonna get some reading done. And this is some of the time that I use for personal time. So I'm going to take advantage of that. If you guys are not going to ask any questions, Chelsea, I appreciate you. You are always here. You are always asking the questions, and so thank you for that. Keeping this interesting, and being engaging and being a part of the Guru Click. You are much appreciated. If anybody else has some questions, I'll be here on here until 7:30. Which book do you have, Chelsea? I don't even remember. Is it the working and homeschooling one, or is it how to transition? Because even that, y'all, I ain't gonna lie. It Some of this stuff has got to be God, because in the midst of all the things that I have going on in my personal life, I prayed about something, and now I'm supposed to revamp the how to transition book, and that is a whole nother, like, my gosh. Thank you. Yeah, it's just I don't. So now I'm doing a second edition of how to transition to homeschooling, because there's a lot that I think I published that right after COVID. Oop, I shouldn't have said that word. Facebook be tripping. I posted it right after I published it right after the panorama. So the panorama happened, that for like that January. By March, we were shut down. I spent a bunch of time writing that transition, how to transition. Then by July, I published that book. And so now it's 2023. And throughout that transition, all the parents that left the traditional school system and either did not return or something to that effect, there was a lot of information I learned in between that 2021 year into the 2022 year. And even now, there's more that I have learned to help families transition into homeschooling, especially when they're forced into it unknowingly, like in a panorama situation, or like if you have a child that you feel is being mistreated at school, whatever the case may be. And so I've been taking notes. Of course, I always take notes. I always write down my thoughts. I have spirals up the wazoo full of pages of notes. And so with that said, I know that I'm supposed to update that book now. And so with all of the things that I have going on in my life right now, I am currently updating that book as well. Okay. Okay, but I'm ordering your books, and yeah, so I will post those links. So I think I told you the college credit one, and I think that's the only one I told you. The college credit one. I will definitely post that in there for you. Okay. I appreciate it. There is a bunch going on in the background. My personal life is taking I don't want to say it's taking a hit, but life is lifing in my personal life, and it's having me pull away from my business stuff, but I also still have to keep my business afloat and do all this stuff. And then it's interesting when you know what you're supposed to be doing, and you're like, how? Like, how's this supposed to happen? And that is the place where I am right now, where I'm like, okay, I know I'm supposed to be doing this, but in the midst of the shenanigans that is going on in my life, how is this supposed to happen? Like, tell me, Lord, like, when? And so we'll see what happens. Yeah, that's awesome. Can't wait to see the new dish. Oh yeah, yeah. I posted it earlier. I posted it last week. Um, but it's supposed to be out in June as well. So that's why I said June's gonna be busy for me. And then my conference is in June, and then I'm speaking at two other conferences on top of my conference in June. Like it's a lot going on. Same, life is life in here as well, but pushing through is everything. So I have so y'all know I go to therapy. That's not anything new. But one of the conversations, I went to my therapist on Friday, and she's like, why are you pushing through? Like, she's like, pushing through means that you're not dealing with the feelings, you're not dealing with the emotions that come along with lifing. Pushing through means that you don't have time to take and, evaluate what is going on and come up with a plan. Why are you pushing through? She kept saying that, like, you keep saying you're pushing through, but why are you pushing through? Why are you pushing through? You need to take some time to, sit in those feelings and to come up with a plan so that you can get through them versus just pushing through. And so that has been some work that I have to do this week. It sucks. I'm not happy that she gave it to me. I'm not happy that she called me out on my bullcrap about pushing through. And I'm not happy that she's making me sit with my emotions when it comes through pushing through. But I have to admit that after her telling me to push through, then right now, after in that session, I feel a lot better versus instead of anxious, like, just push through, it'll get better, it'll get better, it just push through, it'll get better. Me being able to sit with my feelings and my emotions and say, you know what, this is unfortunate, that what is happening is not okay. And it's unfair. But in the meantime, it's unfair, it should not be happening, whatever the case may be. But what's the plan going forward? Like, how are you going to rectify it in the future? And so that has been perfect for me, that this last, and that just she just had that conversation with me on Friday. But just sitting in the feelings of, you know what, saying to myself, taking the time to say, you know what, this stinks, like, this is not fair, this what is happening right now is not fair. Um and but it's not fair, but how do you rectify it? How do you make it better? How do you prevent it from getting worse? How do you make it, okay in the meantime, type situation? And that's been good. Yeah, Sharon. Hey, girl. Listen, my therapist gets on my nerves, and I stick with her. I stick with her because every single time my appointment comes up, I hate talking to her. My best friend, I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to therapy. Oh, I don't want to go to therapy. Like, I'm telling her that. I stick with her because I know that every session is going to be helpful for me. Every session, she's going to break something wide open for me and have me work better, have me be better. And so I'm sticking with her based off of, I know that that's what she's doing. But I hate talking to her, just being transparent and honest. She's an amazing therapist. Nothing against her. She's amazing. Even killed, no emotion. I feel confident and safe. I feel like she hears me. I feel like she calls me on my bull crap. I feel like she does all that. She's an amazing therapist, but I hate talking to her. I hate it. Yep. Definitely food for thought. Never thought about it that way. Exactly, Denny. She just kept saying, because I was like, oh, this is happening. This has happened, and I'm pushing through. And she's like, okay. And then she's like, okay, and what else? She was like, so, you get on the call. She's like, okay, so what's been going on? I haven't talked to you in a minute. And our last session got canceled. There was some stuff going on, and our last session got canceled. And she was like, hey, so what's going on? It's been about a month since I talked to you, about a month, maybe 6 weeks since I talked to you. So give me some updates. What's going on? And I was like, oh, this happened. But I'm pushing through. And she kind of, jots down her notes, and she's like, okay. And then she's like, okay, what else has happened? Has anything else transpired? Yeah, this has happened. But I'm pushing through. And she's like, okay. And she writes it down. And then she's like, what else has been going on? I'm like, oh no, I'm good. Everything's fine. Like, I'm just pushing through, just trying to make it through it, and then I'll be okay. And then she goes back through her notes, and she was like, well, what about this situation? I remember you mentioning this. What's the update on this? And I'm like, oh, I'm still pushing through that, trying to make it through. And she's like, okay. So let's talk. Let me ask you a question. Like, that was her thing. She's looking at her notes, and she's like, so 6 weeks ago you were pushing through, and 6 weeks later you're still pushing through. How is that working for you? Like, how is that working for you? And I was like, I don't want to talk to you. Like, mind your own self business. Leave me alone. She's rough on me. She calls me on it though. And so my job again is to sit in the emotion, whatever it is that is truthful, whether it's anger, disappointment, frustration, heartache, hurt, whatever it is, to sit in that emotion, deal with that emotion, and come up with a plan going forward on how you can do better. Because some of the situations, especially one in particular, it's completely unfair, and it's not fair. It's just not fair. But I am having to deal with the consequences of that. And so I being honest with you, I'm angry about the fact that I have to deal with those consequences. And I'm angry that I tend to be a careful person. I tend to be very follow the rules. There is no gray area for me. I'm very black or white. If it's right, it's right. If it's wrong, it's wrong. Um, and so I tend to be that way. And so because I follow the rules and I expect for good things to happen to me because I follow the rules, right? And so in this instance, I've been following the rules and something random has happened and it's affecting me personally. And I'm angry about that. And for me to sit in that session and say that to her, like for the first time, when I got the news or when I heard it, I was like, oh, okay, it could be worse. I'll push through it and I'll do this, I'll do that or whatever. But when she had me sit through that and have that conversation with her about, me being angry about it, that it's not fair, it just opened up a peace of mind about the situation. And it helped me be able to come up with a plan on what to do going forward. I hate talking to her. I hate it. I hate it. But it's good for me. I have a love hate. Yes, I have a love hate relationship. But yes, yeah, yeah. I don't have a love hate relationship with her. She's an amazing therapist. So I can't really say I have love like I love her. She's an amazing therapist. She does her job. She puts me in my place. She calls me on the carpet. She does all that. So she does amazing at her job. I don't want to talk to you though. I don't want to tell you my business. I don't want to talk about past struggles. I don't want to talk about PTSD. I don't want to do not one lick of that. I don't want to do that. Leave me alone. Is the book that you plan to link outline homeschool and dual and credit? I was driving when you were talking about it. Shawanda, so it is a book. It is homeschooling for college credit is basically what it is. So it'll outline different options if you're trying to homeschool for college credit. So that could be doing the CLEP test, that could be doing the CLEP test or doing the dual enrollment, different options to get your child basically earning college credit in high school. And some of the options you can do it for free. Like even we did the CLEP test, we did modern states, and the way that we did it to make it free was the way, and I don't know, this was a couple years ago, so I don't know if this has been updated since the panorama, but the way that we did it was modern states teaches you, has you study for the test, the class, whatever the case may be. You take a test within this program. If you pass it, it gives you a voucher to take the actual CLEP test, and that allows you to do it for free. So that's one of the ways that you can earn college credits for free. And it'll talk about that. It's a nice size book with tons of information. And so it's one of the best resources it's on my top 5 resources. But I will link that. Yeah, I'll link that for you as well. Okay. All right, guys, I'm going to jump off of here. I will be here again on Thursday at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Make sure you have your questions. In the meantime, you've got today, you've got Wednesday, you got all day Thursday. Any question that you are thinking of, you are more than welcome to ask that on Thursday. Another thing to keep in mind or to think about is, say you want to ask a question, but you don't want all these folks in your business. You don't want them to know who you are and you don't want them to know all your details. You can go to my website, ShawnTheHomeschoolGuru.com. Go to the confessions page, confessions of a homeschooler page, or confessions of a exhausted homeschool mom, my podcast that I don't really do anymore. But you can go to that page and there is an option where you can make a confession anonymously. And basically you go in, you say whether or not you want me to address it or you just need to vent. You say that, and then you put your information down and you submit it. That's it. There's no other way for me to collect information from you. I don't ask for names, phone numbers, emails, or anything like that. It truthfully is a space for you to just get something off your chest and not be worried about people judging you in that space or whatever the case may be. Okay. All right, so I'm going to jump off of here, guys. I'm going to get my reading done. This is my alone time, which is one thing she's making me focus on, is making sure I do some of the things that I enjoy. And so I'm going to do that. You guys have an absolutely wonderful Tuesday, and I will talk to you guys on Thursday. Bye, guys.